What's up, everyone? How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. As always, can you hear me? I feel like I have to ask that every single time. All right, welcome. Let me just get the stream up on my iPad. It looks like I have an audio signal. So, oh, wow. Kevin says, excited for the live. What's up, Kevin? Knowledge incoming. I feel like Anson fanboy audio is good. I actually makeshift the Comica Boom XD to go from XLR to 3.5 millimeter. So life hack into the road video mic. The color's a little off, but I think it's fine. I'm actually streaming out of the Blackmagic Video Assist 12G, the 7-inch model, and trust me when I say I can see myself well. So welcome. Let me actually go live on Instagram as well. I feel like I've neglected Instagram recently, and so let me bring them up while everybody's joining, everybody's getting in. How's everyone doing today? What can we discuss? Let's chat about. So apparently, because I saved some money not buying a new camera this week, I decided to drop some bones, as they say, on some lenses. So if you saw my community post, you know that I bought a rehoused Helios 442 from Iron Glass. Excited about that. I'll tell you why I did that here in a minute. But then I also bought the Sue-Ray 35 millimeter anamorphic lens for my pocket cameras. So if anybody knows of any kind of hack to get micro four thirds lenses on L mount, that'd be great, because I'd also like to use it on the FP, but it is what it is. All right, so let me go live. Boom. Actually, before that, a buddy of mine from YouTube is asking for me to Skype. So let me just hit him up really quick. If you guys have not seen Pav SZ, he's a great filmmaker, also a great content reviewer or gear reviewer. Pav, I'm going live on YouTube. Come join the stream. Meaning come and chat. All right. Now let me go over to Instagram. All right. I swear, I'm like, what's up, Instagram? I figured out how to take my phone off of battery power, so it will not die on me tonight. So come join the stream. We're talking about microfilms. We're talking about what the hell microfilms are, why they're important for new filmmakers, or for that matter, experienced filmmakers. And I'm currently trying to get my glasses clean. So YouTube as well. Welcome. Kevin is in the chat. Philip is in the chat. Philip, you are officially an Anson fanboy. Just to let you know. What's up, guys? Okay, so while everybody's coming in, I definitely want to give time for people to kind of join the stream. And I'll be honest, this may be a topic that I cover in a finished video that's not necessarily a stream. What's up, Raul? Sup on Instagram, Leon Build. Sorry, I probably mispronounced that. Again, PSA for everyone, if I mispronounce your name, very sorry. Fernando Portugal here. What's the topic? The topic is microfilm. So that's a perfect segue. Jim's over on YouTube. What's up, Jim? Kevin says, Anson, what I think is going to do is buy a Crane 3S for my BMCC 2.5K, future-proof, any rigs I decide to make in the future. So someone told me today, they were like, if you're really desperate to buy something, you should look at like XYZ. And I was just like, I'm not desperate to buy something necessarily, but if you've ever seen, all of my devices are being taken up right now. But if you've ever seen the iron glass rehouse of the Helios 442, it's a pretty penny, but it's been one I've had my eye on for a long time. So I was like, you know what? I saved some money by not buying a lens, or not buying a new camera. So let's buy some new lenses. And honestly, if you're buying gear, invest in lenses. Cameras come and go. We're seeing new camera announcements every 2 days, it seems like, but glass is a long-term investment. So that being said, if you just joined, I got the Helios rehoused and the Sue 35 millimeter f1.8 anamorphic for micro four thirds. So Pav, what's up, man? I'm an Anson fanboy for sure. Pav and I talk again. If you've never checked out Pav's channel, honestly, you really should, because he has a much bigger audience than I do, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything necessarily, but he is killing it right now. You guys should definitely check him out. He actually just did a video about the new Sigma lens. So it's official. I'm getting a BMPCC 6K Pro, says Leon on Instagram. Not gonna lie, I'm jelly. Which, about the Sue or about the Helios? Okay, all right. So we got the chats. I love the interaction. So let's kind of, even mention. Hit my desk here. Even mention kind of what we're talking about today. Over the last several weeks, you may have heard me talk about a short film that I'm producing. And over the course of time, you kind of seen how it's come out that's more of a microfilm. And I've since then, and I think even Pav and I have had the conversation of like, what is a microfilm? Because you don't hear the term microfilm all that much. If you've gone to film school, or if you're in film school, you probably have. It's probably been an assignment. I've never been to film school. Everything that I've learned is self-taught. So if it's crap, that's why. So much like most people in here, I'm sure, not everybody that makes films necessarily has to go to film school. It's a great avenue if you're trying to kind of get into the business. But some of us just probably didn't take that path. But microfilms, what are they first? Microfilms are simply just like a version of a short film. They're a type of short film, but typically they are classified as short films that are about 30 seconds to 90 seconds in length. Usually people kind of see the sweet spot for microfilms as a minute or less. And honestly, Pop says, I've been to the film school of life. And honestly, a lot of people see a minute or less. This short film that I'm producing now, I really believe in this idea of microfilm so much that I actually rewrote the script. I rewrote the script to take it from like 2 to 3 minutes to, I think, what's up, guys? I think it's going to end up being roughly around a minute and a half. It's going to be in the longer end of a microfilm. I'm going to try to still get it under a minute. But I did some of the final shoots last night, and I want to keep some of the things in there because it's very much a character establishing short film. And so I want to make sure that takes priority over trying to feel the need to keep it under 60 seconds. But that being said, that's what short films are. They are a narrative film that is 30 seconds to 90 seconds, sometimes could be up to like 2 minutes on the longer end. So that becomes, why are short films beneficial? Well, if you're a new filmmaker, if you're getting into filmmaking, they're super beneficial, honestly, just to learn. It is much easier to write a script for something is going to be 60 seconds to 90 seconds than it is to feel like you have to write a script that's for something like 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. It's way more bite-sized. It's way more manageable in that sense. But there's also a challenge to it. There are things that maybe it's hard to fit a story, a full-blown beginning, middle, and end into 60 seconds. But that's also where it's beneficial for new filmmakers and people that want to learn filmmaking, is because you're forced to trim down your script and your story enough to establish a beginning, a middle, and an end, and some type of conflict and resolution within that 60 seconds. I actually learned a lot about short films by the channel D for Darius. And if you don't follow D for Darius or haven't seen anything from him, super informative for new filmmakers. There's a lot of filmmaking channels that I follow. D for Darius, Film Right, of course, Indie Mogul are some of the bigger ones. Those are people that have for years, tried to, bring the knowledge of the filmmaking industry and give it to us for free. Like, what? And honestly, if I won't lie, I think this is where I want to take my channel, is to be kind of like a new wave of filmmaking education. And in there you talk about gear, sure, you talk about practices and things like that. What's up, guys? And if you're joining the live chat, please feel free, speak, say whatever you want to say, ask questions. I'm going to try to get through a little bit of the what it is and why it's beneficial, and then we'll definitely get some of the chat. Trust me, I'm not going to be talking about this for an hour. So I always want these to be discussions. But I learned about microfilms from D for Darius, or more about them. And the big idea was, or one of the things that he used as an illustration of this and how you can fit a narrative into 60 seconds or less, is Mentos commercials. If you're a child of the 80s and 90s, you've seen those god awful Mentos commercials where there is something that happens to a character. They face some sort of like hardship, and then Mentos, or they find the resolution, and then the whole thing is like, it's pushing Mentos because I guess like Mentos gives them incredible wisdom, or I don't actually know, but it's still just sorry. I've been talking all day and I need some water. So it's got that conflict and resolution. Again, that's the bigger thing. The thing that you want to focus on with a narrative does it have a beginning, middle, and an end? Is there a conflict and a resolution? And that's something that I'm even asking myself about this film, is, do I have all those, 3-act structure? Do I have that conflict resolution? And but those Mentos commercials, sorry, I'm like a little bit everywhere, but those Mentos commercials were a good example of a conflict and resolution in like under 30 seconds. And so that's a great example of being able to establish a story within that time frame. And so the whole idea around microfilms being good for filmmakers, whether new or established, is being able to, and I can speak to what it's done for me, and kind of relay that to you guys. Being able to look at your script and say, one, where's the fat? Can I trim it? And if I trim the fat, that means that my film is packed with either emotion or information or new moments or new parts of the story. There's no time for lulls, and that can be hard at times. One thing that D for Darius talked about in that video was you may not be able to do certain types of genres. Like you may not be able to do like dramas in a minute, because dramas in nature, like a lot of times you invest in that character. And I think there's a way to still even do dramas, but it may not be in one film. It may be like a series of short or micro films. And so over the course of time, you may not do it in one single sitting, but over the course of time, you've established a character and had people invest in that character. And so they're really good because they're bite-sized. You have less of a daunting task of coming up with a huge script. You have this small script, but that can also be a challenge of, trying to fit everything you're trying to say into 60 seconds or, max like, minute and a half, 2 minutes. And so even just for script writing, that's where it's a challenge. And that's where it's good for growth. Someone mentioned the film riot challenge. I think it was Philip was just mentioning it. And technically, those 1 minute film challenges are microfilms, and there were some amazing entries into that challenge. And so that is it's funny. I said this in my video where I was breaking down the rig of what I was using for this microfilm. And I said that I'll probably still title this as a short film because I genuinely don't think that YouTube knows what to do with the term microfilm, just because it's not used as widely as short film. So it may even be titled like a micro short film. And technically that would be accurate because it's of a type of short film. But so talking about some other benefits, and then let's get into some discussion and some questions and things like that. But some other benefits of a microfilm is paying attention to everything that goes into making a film. It's very easy. I wouldn't say it's very easy. It's easier to come up with a script, know what lens and camera you're going to use, and execute. It's a lot harder to come up with a script, lens, camera, lighting, composition, as well as the one that gets overlooked so much, and something that is probably going to make me pull my like non-existent hair out when it comes to this weekend when I'm editing this: sound design. A big thing that a lot of people do as new filmmakers is they neglect sound design. I do it so much, and I try not to, but most of the stuff I do for YouTube is a little bit rushed. And so I don't put like swoops and crunches and things like that when I know I want to do stuff like that. And so doing this where, again, going back to the idea, you have a minute, you can focus on saturating as much as you can into that project for that minute. Sound design is something you can practice. Lighting composition is something you practice. Take your time. I literally, this microfilm has under 60 seconds. I would even say under 40 seconds of dialogue. I did about 4 hours of shooting last night. I'm dead tired today. My back's killing me because I was bending over trying to, work with the camera the whole time. And I'm apparently getting old or something. I don't know. But it's being able to take that minute and pour everything you can into that minute. It makes everything intentional. Not just with sound design, lighting, composition, but like every shot you take needs to have some intention behind it, because you have 60 seconds to progress your story and to establish your characters. And so I that was one big thing when I did the script rewrite, is I actually put a couple more shots in there because I was like, okay, let's add another layer of depth to this story. And without having to like script a whole nother 10 to 15 minutes, I could say, okay, let's put a couple more shots that I can put into this 60-second, 90-second film that will give depth to the story, but it's not daunting to where I have to write a whole nother part to the script. So, that's, and like I said, I don't really, my intention is not here to sit here and for, an hour and talk about microfilms, but it's definitely something I feel very passionate about right now. I don't think that, I think Film Riot has done a really good job of putting out these challenges for 1 minute films. And I fully want to get on board with that. Honestly, I kind of just want to steal that idea. So for those that are live in the chat, what's probably going to happen is when this short film is released, a little bit of part of the marketing for it, but also get community involved, is I don't have it with me, but I will be doing my own microfilm challenge and doing a giveaway of a Helios 44M not a 44-2, but a 44M. I think I mentioned this in my like test stream that I have since taken down. But when I bought my my OG pocket camera, it came with a 44M, and I have a Helios 44-2. I shot down the short film last night, and I'm getting this dope ass Rehouse 44-2. I have no purpose for it, and so I'm going to give back to the community and do my own microfilm challenge and a giveaway for the 44M. So as that film comes out, you'll hear more about it. So again, that's microfilms, what they are, what the hell they are, why they're beneficial for new filmmakers. I want to catch up on the chat, and we'll talk about it a little bit more, but I want to catch up on the chat first. Also on my hydration. So what have we said? Instagram, what's up? Give me some questions. Y'all, I had a couple of really good questions last night when I was doing, every time I shoot, I'm like, I don't want to be alone when I shoot. So I do like these production AMAs, and I always end up getting busy and not being able to answer the questions, but there were some really good questions. So thank you, Instagram, for that. So on the chat over on YouTube, and if you rather watch on YouTube, go over there. If you rather watch on Instagram, go over there. I don't know where I'm pointing, but all right. So Jim says, I'm trying to decide between the BMCC 4K and the GHS1. Jim, the GHS1. Are you talking about the I'm not sure which camera you're talking about there. Does anybody know what the I am baffled. I don't know what the GHS1 is, but I would always recommend a Blackmagic camera. Even though I had a lapse of judgment and tried to buy a Sony camera this past week. I'm sorry. Very much apologies to everyone. So I've had, a GH5S for 2 years. Great camera. That's okay. That makes sense. Philip clarified that. Thank you. D4 is awesome. Filmright did some microfilm competitions over the past year and during quarantine. Some really awesome films. Philip, that was a comment from Philip. Those are some amazing films. I distinctly remember one that I don't think had like any like dialogue or anything like that, but it was just it was so good. If I can find it, I'll put it like maybe somewhere in the description or something like that. But it was basically like this guy like in the middle of like Iceland or something in this cabin, and the whole film was like, I think it's been a while since I've watched it, but I think it was like he like heard like it was almost like this monster coming after him, and the whole film was kind of leading up to it, and then right at the like apex or like right at the kind of like the climactic part of that film, it just cut off, and it was really awesome. I always love when they put out those minute film challenges. So dope. Pop says, "Is this sponsored by Mentos?" Yes. Mentos, if you want to sponsor me, I'll gladly take it. Mike says, I'm new to filmmaking, but trained in storytelling and vouch 100% for storytelling chops of D4. So absolutely. His storytelling theory is super solid. Dude, he's a pretty decently big channel. He's a couple 100,000 followers, but honestly, if you don't know about D for Darius, like, he is dropping some free knowledge bombs. And honestly, I probably, between him and Filmright, have learned most of filmmaking from them. Honestly, those two channels are like my go-to. I love Indie Mogul, but I think they've gotten to where they're more of like a gear channel lately. And maybe like every once in a while we'll do some like, hey, this is, like how you would do this on an indie budget or like a no budget kind of film. But those two channels are constantly giving you gold filmmaking advice. So especially if you want to learn VFX, then Filmright is your freaking channel for that. Philip says, suddenly craving a Mentos. I've heard it's a fresh maker. I love it. No, phone, you're not going to sleep tonight. Why? It's not on low battery. Whatever. Pop says, making one under 1 minute film is like music. It's the notes that you do not, hang on, making under 1 minute film is like music. It's the notes that you do not play that matter sometimes more than those that you do play. It's hard to remove what you think is important, but really not relevant to the storytelling. Absolutely. Honestly, like, so there were parts about this microfilm that I was just like, I gotta keep this. This is gold. And I sat down with my wife and I was like, should I trim this? Should I make like an episode 2? Because I mean, I've told you guys this is going to be a series for me. And so I was like, should I just put this in like the next episode or something like that? And she's like, yeah, I think it'll work. I'm like, okay. That's the whole practice around here is trim the fat. You know, where can, and I think the film matured because of that, because I had to not just like throw like all these different things in there for the sake of them being in there and getting some type of like self gratification from it. So there's a lot more freedom and structure in a microfilm, possibly because there aren't established conventions that everyone expects to be there. That was a comment from Philip. Yes, and something I do want to mention about microfilms. You know, I did not realize how successful microfilms can be. And this is why I would say this is even a good medium for not just new filmmakers, but even for some established filmmakers, because this is a whole like awards category, is like short microfilms and short films. Obviously, that's a category, but like I've seen some amazing award-winning microfilms. I watched one this past week, and I'll put that in the description which one it was. But literally, I think it was under a minute. I think it was slightly over a minute because of credits, and I think that's what will make this film a little bit longer too, because I do want to put credits at the end. Before I decided to rewrite to under a minute, I actually asked somebody to do some custom music for credits for me, and I don't want to like be like, hey, can you not? So that's where it may be slightly over. Gerald, what's up, man? But there are absolutely, like, don't think that like if you do a short film or microfilm that you're not going to get recognized, or like it's not something that you'll be recognized for. It is a film just like any other. And so put everything you can in it. You know, make it awesome. And who knows? Maybe if you submit it to a festival, or you know, maybe it could get recognized, could win something. And I had the question on Instagram last night, like, hey, how do you get you know, to a point where you can get production studios behind you to make films? And honestly, short films, microfilms are a great way of doing that, is make these films. You know, microfilms are a great no budget film, or low to no budget film, you know, kind of option. And so make microfilms, put them out there. And then, you know, if you get recognized for those microfilms, you're more likely to get some of these bigger studios behind you if you want to do maybe a longer short film, or for that matter, a feature. Now features are, oh man, just like way out of my league right now. I don't even have the attention span to write, produce, edit a feature. So obviously when you get to feature level, you have a team. And so like, you know, it is what it is. Like that's growth there. But I would even say like a longer short film, I don't know if I would have the capacity. I mean, I guess even short films you would have a team for, depending on the short film. So that being said, absolutely, like, use microfilms to both just craft your script writing, to craft your sound design, you know, experience and capabilities, craft composition, lighting, like absolutely use it to just get better at what you do. You know, one thing I love, it's funny, I get asked all the time, like, you know, what do you recommend to get started with freelance? I don't do freelance currently. Like, I haven't done freelance in like a year, because, you know, one, you know, video and filmmaking is not my day job. My day job is something completely different. I sometimes I wish that I was doing video filmmaking for my day job, but then at other times I don't, because the minute that I make it my career, I get that like feeling that I'm just not going to love it. So and I don't have that huge of a drive to be my own boss. Um, oh, Jim, I just saw that you said you meant to say S5. I'll come back to that. But that being said, you know, oh God, I saw the comment and my brain just went away there. But anyways, no, I've been asked, what would you recommend to get started in freelance? And I haven't done freelance in a while because like I've realized that this and what I'm doing now is what I want to make. And that to me is more important than getting paid for having a camera. And YouTube is paying a little. Like the Helios is getting paid for by like the money that I make from affiliate links and things like that. By the way, if you watch any of my videos, use my affiliate link so you can pay for my Helios. Um, so, but it's, it makes just enough. I'm on the verge of 5,000 subscribers and honestly, I am super okay with not being blown up right now on YouTube just because like I'm having fun. I'm making what I love. I'm loving what I'm doing. I had the I had the realization this morning. I was like, I looked at some of my past videos and I saw a whole bunch of dislikes and I was like, what the I had two dislikes. These two dislikes right here, unless that's changed, were from this morning before the stream even, obviously like 7 hours before the stream even started. And I was just like, really? Like, I apparently got trolls on there subscribing to my channel now. But that being said, like, cool, dislikes, fine, whatever. I'm having fun, and I love what I'm doing. I am writing, directing, producing, editing my own short film, microfilm, and I'm super super happy in doing it. So that being said, make microfilms, make short films, get good at writing and all of that. And yeah, the thing I'm not good at is acting. This definitely stretched me on the acting skills. And so that being said, please don't hate my short film because my acting skills suck. Just please. Joe, what's up, man? Joe's in the chat with Driven Films. Love it. Love it. Jim says, I meant to say S5. Okay, so then the question becomes BMCC 4K. And I assume you mean BMPCC 4K, but if you mean the studio, like legit good, or the S5, I think it depends on what you're shooting. That's always going to be my answer. I am a firm believer on. Okay, Jim says yes, not the studio. So that if it's a pocket 4K, but it depends on what you're shooting. If you're more run and gun, the Pocket 4K does not offer IBIS, and so the S5 may be a little bit better. I know Pav has used the the S5 pretty extensively, and he actually has a couple of different reviews on his channel. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already, Jim, or anybody for that matter. But if you're doing more run and gun, I mean, I did a like short doc last year with the GH5. And I don't know if I would have been able to make that same doc with the Pocket 4K because of IBIS. But that being said, picture-wise, I would always want the Pocket 4K over a Panasonic camera. Just it's my preference, and there is no hard and fast reason why like one is factually better than the other. It's just preference, and so that's where I prefer is pocket cameras. For that matter, I even stuck with a pocket camera as opposed to upgrading to the newest pocket camera for various reasons, but just because I love this camera so much. When I was debating on the Sony camera, I was actually debating on selling the FP more than I was the pocket camera. So for whatever that is worth, you can take that. But that being said, I am actually on the FP this time. So I have my my mini matte box on with the top flag up, and so I can't actually see the camera right now. This is residual rig from last night, and I just didn't feel like breaking it down, which I did. I did make a like makeshift rig last night, and I was proud as hell of that. The only thing that sucked is, so I had to top mount the Nucleus Nano because the Helios 442 is so small. I had to get it closer to the lens, the motor. And so I top mounted it, which the FP doesn't do top mounting, or at least the cage for it. So I had to like makeshift something there. And so I top mounted the Nano, but then my Helios focusing ring is super stiff. And so it didn't budge at all. So yeah, that was the other deciding factor of getting the rehoused. So yes, it depends on what you're filming. I say if you're more run and gun, yeah, I would, S5 potentially. But if you're trying to do more like slower pace stuff, more narrative, or even like I know Joe does a lot with the automotive industry and filmmaking for that. And so I think for some of the things that it just depends. Like I think the Pocket 4K picture wise, in my preference, is a little bit better. But it really just comes down to what you're using. So yeah. Did I say Sony FP? I meant Sigma FP. Sorry, anybody from Sigma that may be watching this. Sigma FP, probably legit one of my favorite cameras. I tried to give it away. I tried to sell it for the Sony FX3, but then just that raw capability and that camera gets my heart every time. It has to remind me every once in a while, but it has my heart. So Philip was saying, never mind, I read that as GH5S. Jim was saying I was looking at that too. Jim says, how do you find actors for your films? It depends on what type of budget you're on. If you're on a no budget, find some friends. My nephew is often very bored. And so whenever I'm like, hey, you want to go film something? He's like, yes. This one is actually starring me. I am the cast, crew, editor, everything. But yes, I would say if you're, depending on your budget, if you're like low to no budget, you got to know some really chill friends and just be like, hey, can you act? Or if you can't act, can you at least pretend like you act? So, I remember back in high school, one of my best friends is a videographer, and he's actually a videographer I trade, and really dope videographer. Hello, Nader, if you're watching this. Hopefully we'll be playing video games soon. But basically we used to do a whole bunch of like films in high school, and I for a lot of them, like junior, senior year, I was probably, and even in the college, I was probably like the lead actor on that, which very sorry for those films. But yeah, you got to find people there you're chill with, they're cool to hang out with for a while, maybe feed them some dinner, buy them some snacks, but yeah, find friends. And then as you get a budget, obviously there are different channels to go about finding actors at different budget levels. So can vouch for him. I'll remove my comment if I'm wrong. Yeah, Pav, I don't know if you're actually right that I said Sony FP, but you know what? It's been a long day, long week. I feel like I've done YouTube every day this week, so I'm very tired. So I might have said Sony FP. So Jim says, I was drooling when they announced the 6K Pro, but I have a collection of Canon FD lenses. So Jim, I respect you for your FD lens choice. Honestly, after buying the rehoused Helios, I was like, I need to find rehoused FP, or not FPs. This is how tired I am. Rehoused FDs. So that may be next if I'm building out a set. So, but I love Canon FD lenses. That 50 millimeter f1.4 mint. The only reason I'm not using it is because I hadn't used the Helios for a while, and I really do like the Helios. So I like vintage lenses, basically. Joe from Driven Film says, reach out to colleagues that have acting programs. If you go through a college, you can get volunteers. Very true. Very true. Thank you for that knowledge, good sir. Again, I'm going to plug like everybody that has a YouTube channel here today. Driven Films, Pav SZ. Go visit both their channels. They're wise people, individuals that talk about. Pav is kind of a hybrid video photo person. Joe is very much into filmmaking video for kind of the niche of, like I said, automotive stuff. So both amazing channels, great content, amazingly produced videos. So love it. Have I gushed about you guys enough? I expect your royalty checks in a little bit, right? Is that how this works? Okay. Man, Philip says, Jim, the Pocket 4K is awesome because the micro four thirds mount. You can adapt it adapt it to so many different lenses, including FD. Philip, I gotta stretch. That is actually my point. And if you guys missed my why I'm not buying the 6K Pro stream, I think I took it down today because my streams this past week have been painful. But the reason I didn't get the 6K Pro was because of its mount. I love the Pocket 4K. Yes, I've seen so many different, like people say that the 6K's image is so much better. And sure, it may like scientifically be so much better, but there's something about being able to use whatever lenses you want to use. The Helios I actually just bought as I guess you can still use a PL mount on a Pocket 6K Pro, but you have that versatility, and I appreciate that versatility. So yeah, absolutely. That's a big reason to look at the Pocket 4K. And honestly, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they didn't just like announce the 6K Pro and be like, okay, we're done with 4K. One, I would venture to say it's still one of their top sellers. And then also just because it is so versatile. I'm secretly hoping maybe at least by the time I pay off this Helios rehouse that they make a Mark II. I still am holding out hope they make a Mark II of the Pocket 4K. So I think Joe and I are on the same boat there. Well, I think I think 6K Pro finally put Joe in the Zcam community. So full time Zcam. Jim said, all right. So Jim said, thumbs up. Pop says, you got more acting experience than you're letting on. Okay. I'm not going to spoil something, but there's a part in this movie where I need to act scared. I need to reshoot that scene because I just need to channel my inner, I've just watched Sixth Sense for the first time. I said that really weird because it's really weird to say back to back. But I need to channel something and maybe reshoot that scene. But you guys will see. You may laugh at that part, which is okay. You'll find out why. But yeah, I'm excited for you guys to see this. I am trying so hard to get it to you guys by Tuesday. I think the fact that I was able to film last night instead of tomorrow night will actually let me do it. So I'm either going to not be posting a video this week on Tuesday, or I'm posting the short film. I'm committing to getting the short film to you guys Tuesday. And if I don't have it done, I'm not posting a video. That's my commitment. So that's my goal. All right. So Pav says, I'm sure you just said FPs. Yeah. Yeah, me too. Driven Films already. Pav says, following Driven Films already. Top stuff. Joe says, thanks, man. Zcam all in, baby. Joe, you look. You almost had me. And then I realized I don't like any of the codecs. Sorry. I'm kidding. I'm going to not start war with Zcam people. So, no, Zcam's a great camera. And honestly, I may eventually get there. I really am hoping that they integrate with DaVinci Resolve a little bit more, or potentially, pick up B-roll. And if that's the case, then I'm sold. That's the only thing that's holding me back right now. Because I like shooting with RAW, even though I probably don't need to, but I just like that. I like to know that I'm filming in RAW. And I ultimately, one of the big reasons is because I really like the Blackmagic color space and the color science. And with like the FP, I can put it in that color space in the color science because of RAW. So that's where I am. Driven Film says 6K Pro was an instant kiss of death. Yeah. I don't think, I don't know. I think enough people, I don't know. I'm sure for you. Sure. Absolutely. 100%. But yeah. Philip says, are you going to make a video about color grading the OG BMPCC? Do you use BMD LUT or color space transform or what? None of that. I actually don't. I leave it in like Gen 1 color space and just grade it from there. And honestly, I thought about doing like a color space transform, but I love how it comes out of camera. So yeah, I'm up for it. I've made color grading videos, but the problem with me making color grading videos is depending on like the week, I'd change my color grading process. Like I haven't got to a point where I have a set process. So I don't want to like make a video and then like 2 weeks later be like, yeah, I don't do that anymore. It's the same reason I'm not making a Sigma FP rig video because that changes on a daily basis. So yeah. But whenever I get a solid, I think the OG pocket camera, I probably have the most consistent color grading path. So I may make that one. But yeah, you know what I'm really stoked on? I'm really stoked on trying out the Sure anamorphic with the OG pocket camera. I'm honestly more excited about that than I am the Pocket 4K, just because I can just imagine the gritty OG pocket camera in an anamorphic style, and I'm just like, oh, like I'm a dumb person. I opted for like next day shipping because as soon as I started thinking about that, I was like, I need this now. So if you know me, and Pav has put up with my BS for like a year or two now, so he knows. When I get something in my brain and I'm committed to it, I can't think about anything else. And it has to happen, which is why I'm surprised I haven't ended up with a new camera this week. But that's also because I try not to be like massively in debt. So, yeah. So as soon as I can figure out like if my color grading process is set in stone and I do that same thing every time, that's when I'll probably make my color grading video. And I want to, because I think the community wants it. So, which is dope. I'm here for it. I'm glad you guys have possibly been into it. I think that means that you guys have been into it. But yeah, I like sharing that knowledge. Pav SZ, I don't know why. Okay, Pav says, "What is Zcam? Never heard of it." I hope you're joking. I thought we talked about Zcam before. Pav, you're about to make some people angry. No, Pav. I don't think we have actually talked about it. So Joe's answering your question. So thank you, Joe. They have several models. Yeah, so they're talking about the Zcam. Pav says, you get something in your brain and you buy it. If I can get the approval, hell yeah. I'm just not gonna make the wife mad. So Coco says, never heard of Zcam. I think, Coco, aren't you? I think you're big into into Joe's community, so that's why he's saying lies. Okay, got it. Zcam, what is Zcam? Venom says, here from Driven Films. Dope. You guys are a great community. You are the reason why I have now am starting to work on a Discord server. So we'll see how that goes. I have like no channels, and I'm like, Joe, I need you to help me because I got nothing. So, but the 6K Pro launch was my final straw. I was like, I have to have a server because this is I can't do like live chat on Instagram community page because then I just like not Instagram, but YouTube. YouTube is like, this post has had 63 comments and it's all me. And I'm just like, this is embarrassing. So Uh, Gerald says, because of the high volume of videos produced from my day job, I've been leaning learning on the leaning LUTs, which have been amazing for me. Dope. Yeah. Learning, not learning. Yes. Leaning, not learning. So leaning on the leaning LUTs. Got it. Yeah. I mean, I try to not use LUTs as much as possible, just because, like, I don't know. It's probably some like dumb misplaced thing. But that being said, I generally like find a color grade that I like and make my own LUTs, and just like copy paste or apply LUT. Man, it's just like I'm done. Like I'm using a LUT right now although I don't think it's actually working, or I don't think I actually applied it on the video assist. But yeah, so no, LUTs are amazing, especially if you're like trying to get stuff out. So absolutely. I love that Pop said, you get something in your brain and you buy it before I can have a chance to talk you out of it. I think even you're a Sony guy, and even you were like, don't buy the Sony FX3. It's a horrible idea. And I was just like, no, 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 no. I need autofocus. I mean, last night when my Nucleus Nano was not moving an inch of my Helios 442 because of how stiff the focusing ring was. I had to literally like walk to the camera, turn the ring, walk back a little bit, and kind of do this like back and forth. See, I mean, I could have used autofocus then, but yeah, no, you tried. I mean, you successfully did with the rest of the community. Although I'll give credit to Philip. I think Philip was the final straw of why I did not buy the FX3. So kudos. And so let's see here. We've got some more. Interested to see what you think about the Suray anamorphic. I had the 50 millimeter. Yeah, so I was kind of on the fence of whether to do like, because obviously they have basically like a set now. Maybe not like an 85, but they have a 24, a 35, and a 50. And I was on the fence of which one to pick up. But since it's going to be primarily used for micro four thirds, I was like, I honestly, for micro four thirds, 35 millimeter is one of my favorite focal lengths. I like that more, a little bit more telephoto look, but not super telephoto. Now on full frame, I've realized I'm not a huge 35 millimeter fan. I'm more like a 50. But since they're primarily for the micro four thirds, unless, like I said at the beginning of the stream, somebody can miraculously find me or make me a micro four thirds to L mount adapter, because then I would absolutely use them the FP. But since they're primarily used for micro four thirds, I was like, let me go 35. And Adorama had one on like sale that was like excellent condition, so sold. So I am super excited about it, and it's gonna like appease my excitement for the Helios for a while, because that's not gonna be here for another 6 months, maybe even longer, because it's like 6 months after you order it and then it ships. And so it may be longer than 6 months, but I'm super pumped because they're hand rehoused. And so that's dope. Venom works. Yee, Discord is fun, bro. I'm pretty excited. I'm all for like finding another thing that like overwhelms me as like chats happen. Like I know, like between like answering YouTube comments and Instagram like questions and stuff like that, this is gonna be one thing that I'm just like, I'm gonna have some fun with this. So if you're on the Discord, whenever it goes live, you'll probably have my attention, because I'm just like, look, if you want to ask a question, go to the Discord. Go be nice to people and appropriate, and then we'll go and you can ask your questions. Pop says, I love LUTs. Sorry if I just peaked the audio. Pop says, I love LUTs. Apply, tweak, claim as my own. And with that, the stream is over. I'm kidding. Yes, but that's very true. Coco says, the FX3 is dumb, but it's still kind of an upgrade. Yes. I have feelings about the FX3. Honestly, I would prefer the FX3 over the A7S3 just because of the body. And I love the top handle situation. But yeah, it is kind of dumb that it's not cheaper. than the Sony A7S III. Seeing as you have no electronic EVF and you really don't have much more other than I can understand and see where they're trying to justify that cost because you're getting an included XLR ports with the top handle, but yeah, it's an interesting one. I wish they would have put RAW in it. If they had put RAW in the camera, like kind of like the FP. Somebody I said on or I was talking with somebody on a Sigma FP user group today on Facebook, and they were like, if why no, it's on YouTube. They were like, if the FP can have RAW, why couldn't they put RAW in the FX3 or even the Sony A7S III for that matter? And I don't have a great answer for that other than like Sony's just worried about overheating because they've notoriously been bad at overheating. But hey, cool. You didn't like make my camera obsolete, which that's not the only thing that goes into making, or like devouring a camera's audience or market, because still there's color science. And honestly, because I took the stream down, I'll say it again. One of the biggest things that took me away from the FX3 was I saw Spencer Sakurai's comparison of the Pocket 6K, the original Pocket 6K, and a A7S III, which we all know the FX3 is just a rehoused A7S III. And geez, those colors. Like, I know people have been raving about the Venice colors and S Cinetone and all of that, but I hated it. I hated it compared to the Pocket camera. So, and the fact that like I can put this Cinema DNG RAW or B RAW with the video assist, and put that in DaVinci Resolve and bring it to that relatively same color space, like I'm all for it. I'll stay in that color space. So, I'm still not a fan of Sony colors. For that matter, I'm not a huge fan of like Panasonic colors. I went there. I'm not a huge fan of Panasonic colors either. One of the reasons I sold the GH5. Yeah. So, Jim says, I heard, okay. I heard Sue said that they were almost ready to release another one. I saw or heard something today. Tom Adamos? Nope, that's a recorder. I can't think of his last name now. But he was saying how they're talking about doing an 85 millimeter. So I like your water bottle. Pop says, I like your water bottle. Have you got an affiliate link? My like bro status Rogue barbell water bottle. No Instagram. Oh, what's up, guys? Yeah, I bought this because I try to be eco-friendly when I can, and so I didn't want like a plastic water bottle, and so I originally got a glass one, and that's what you guys have been seeing. I don't know why you would pay attention to my water bottles. I don't know why I'm talking about a water bottle in general, but I decided to go aluminum because I have a 3-year-old, and glass just means that's going to get broken inevitably. Pop says, I'd buy it. I dig it. It's like a matte black with like Rogue. If you're not familiar or like you're not familiar with Rogue, Rogue is an American-based exercise equipment company. So I've been using a lot of their kettlebells lately to get rid of my COVID-15 basically. So I was just like, cool. You got one. It reminds me of like my lifting days, and I kind of my lifting. I was a not a cool person then. So, Coco says, I'm aware it's dumb, but yes, driven. I know I've asked this before. I would like to know how you've ever considered putting a gimbal straight on a Steadicam arm. I've seen it done before, but I'm unsure if it actually is effective. You talking about like the makeshift RE? I love how my email just now notified me that I'm going live. Like the makeshift RE system. I can't remember. What is the name of it? It's like the Infinity or something like that. I think Tilta just came out with their own version, but putting it on not like the Trinity, just straight to the gimbal. I don't know if what did Joe say? Joe, are you still on here? What did you say? Yeah, Tilta has called it a float. I don't know. I mean, if we were talking about like the Trinity, I'd be like, that's cool, but I don't actually. I'd like to know if you've ever considered putting a gimbal straight on the Steadicam arm. I don't. Nope, definitely never considered it. Other than like a makeshift float or Trinity, so I can't really speak to it. But I am all for you trying it out and letting us know what happens. Can we make that agreement? And then join my Discord whenever that goes live. Tell me what happened, and we can talk about how we can collaborate. So I can basically make it a video, and Joe can make it a video, and we'll just basically like we'll give you royalties. Awesome. Well, that being said, it is 8:30. We've been going roughly about an hour now. There's a lot of you guys in here. It's always hard to say bye when I see like 17 people in here, just kind of like chilling out. If you guys are just now joining, we talked a little bit about microfilms, why they're important, what the hell they are. So long story short, minute-long films, maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes. And they're really beneficial to understanding, and getting better at writing stories and then executing on just a dope ass film that you can kind of concentrate into that period of time. If you're also just now joining, when the microfilm that I'm producing goes live, I'll probably do like a short, those things that YouTube likes for us to post now because TikTok. So I'll probably post a short saying what the qualifications are for that giveaway. But I am going to do a Helios 44M giveaway. Algorithms, absolutely, Coco. Algorithms, that drives our life. But I'll probably do a short talking about like the different parameters on the giveaway. But basically, in a nutshell, we're going to do a short film, a microfilm, not competition, but like I guess it's kind of like a competition, but like a short film contest. And the winner is going to get a copy of a Helios 44M. Yeah, it's going to happen. Now, I do, just so everyone's clear, 44M is slightly different than the 44-2 in certain ways. I'll have to look at it. I think it doesn't come with the declicked aperture, and there's a couple of like smaller details. But that being said, it's still very similar to the 44-2 in a lot of characteristics. And yeah, I think it'll make some people happy on making some dope films. Actually, again, if you are been here for a while, I'm sorry to repeat this, but it came with my Pocket OG and I already have one. So I was just like, let's give it back to the community here. Gerald, yes, you might have to participate. He says, interesting. I might just have to participate. Yes, please do. Last year, sometime last year, like the end of last year, I was like, you know what? I want to do a challenge. I want to do a 24 frames per second challenge. And the challenge was to only make a film with 24 frames, no high frame rates, anything like that. I think that's another thing that a lot of people get lost in is everything has to be high frame rates. For something like Joe and people that are in automotive filmmaking, like, it's kind of like a must. If you're in product videography, it's a must because it's just kind of like industry standard at this point. If you're, I'm sure there's other industries like that's standard, but I think as a YouTube community, as YouTube has just basically like taken over like certain aspects of indie filmmaking, you have a side of film, or I don't even know if I would quantify it as like a film, but like video creation that just feels the need to overuse high frame rates. I'm sorry, I'm on a soapbox right now. I should probably like give a soapbox alert or something. But there's this like oversaturation of high frame rate videos, and all fine and dandy. It looks great for the most part, but oftentimes it's because there's no story. There's no real purpose or depth to the reason you're making that video. And so you're just making something nice and beautiful. I do it whenever I do like reviews. I'm like, I'm not really writing a story for this review. So let me go put something in like 60 to 120 frames per second. Although the one I just did with the 35 millimeter from 7 Artisans, The Pocket 4K was doing like low light stuff, so that was definitely 24 frames. And then we all know the OG Pocket camera can't do above like 30 frames. And I think the SD card I have doesn't go above 24 frames. And so all of that was in 24 frames. And so I debated doing like a 24 frames, a 24 FPS challenge. So we'll do the microfilm challenge. You may just earn extra points if it's all on 24 frames per second. Coco says, yeah, I finished shooting and directing a short entirely in 24 today. Perfect. You secretly have my heart for that. Not even secretly, the internet knows now. So it's a very nice way to tell stories. And, you know, I think I love Peter McKinnon. I think he is a talented creator. But I think his 120 frames per second kind of trend ruined YouTube videography. Because I think we're seeing less and less of it, which just warms my heart. But between the crazy ass whip pans and like just at one point we were taking our cameras and doing this like motion, and what the hell is that? And like you kind of like, I think if you are on YouTube, and that's where I primarily do a lot of my work is on YouTube, and you are looking at videography, filmmaking, I think there's a point where you have to say, this is not what filmmaking is. And those trends are that, you know, like taking your camera and doing this shit, like, no, I'm good. You know, filming everything in 120 frames per second so that you can have like, I can't even film anything in 120 frames per second anymore. I'm just like, this is so slow. Now, if I'm doing like a, you know, something that just looks really visually cool with 120 frames or 240 frames, you know, awesome, dope. I'm all for that. But putting everything in 120 frames and then just overusing slow motion, just over it. Just over it. Coco says, I love Peter McKinnon. Driven will remember that. Does Joe not like Peter? Oh man, I'm sorry, Joe. I can appreciate, I think I like Peter as a personality. That's what he is. He's a personality. And I think on YouTube, there is no one like him in his personality. And it may drive some people completely bonkers and some people crazy, but there's a reason he has 5 million followers. So I can't really knock him for that. But I mean, that being said, I have like Pete's Pirate Life, like everything. Like I don't have my coin on me right now, but I fly the flag, as they say. My candle over here is a Pete's Pirate Life. I have one on the way that's like an all black candle, which is dope. So I support Peter. I think he's a cool guy. And I like what he does. And I honestly like his Pete's Pirate Life brand more than I do his YouTube channel. But yeah. Gerald says, all the camera hype movement is just covering up the lack of story. I'm never going to end the stream. Yes, very much so. God, the amount of like daily, weekly vloggers that just didn't do anything other than whip pan. Like the era of YouTube from like 2017 to like 2019 will be always remembered as like dark days for the world. Not even YouTube, just for the world, with the amount of vloggers that whipped the shit out of their cameras, filmed everything in slow motion, and just had nothing of substance in their videos. Good riddance. I'm good. I remember even then I had a conversation with an old buddy of mine, Kyle Walton, which I love his channel. I mean, he makes some great stuff. Right now he does a bunch of golf, kind of like documentary type videos, and I love it. I'm not even into golf, and I watch his stuff. But I remember even when we were in that crew and that group, because if you're not familiar, like Cody Warner has the No Small Creator group, and we were in that for a while. And I just remember everybody was vlogging and being like, we want to be the next Peter McKinnon, Casey Neistat, Cody Warner for that matter. And And even then we were just like, this is dumb. We cannot handle this. And so I think we both went our own separate ways, and it's just like, peace, deuces. So yeah, I have strong feelings about that, if you can't tell. Coco says, I think he doesn't. He is quite negative of YouTubers. It's funny, Joe, I think he may come across as like negative to some YouTubers, but he defends YouTube a lot. Like if you ever like, God, we were talking about today, Facebook groups for certain cameras systems are toxic as hell. And he will often get on there and just like argue with people about the validity of using YouTube for marketing and growing your brand. And so I don't know if he like dislikes all the YouTubers. Maybe he does. I don't know. I mean, for that matter, I don't necessarily like all YouTubers. I think YouTube can be a silly place sometimes. But yeah, that's the thing. Where did wacky camera move come from? Can you explain it? So this thing, it came from Peter. I'm pretty sure it came from Peter, and Peter might have picked it up from somebody. But I remember the this is sad. I remember the path that it went. So it started with Peter, and then Cody did that infamous collab with Peter, where like it was a big deal that big Peter McKinnon was collaborating with Cody Warner, that at that time was like 30,000 subs. And he was like, well, Peter taught me how to do that whip pan transition. You just have to like move it this way, and then on the next shot, move it back this way. And I remember that's where it came from. Is it started there, and it kind of kept doing its thing. And everybody was just like, that's how you do cool transitions. You do whip pans. And I don't know. I think here's the moral of the story, boys and girls, adults of all ages. Things can be cool, but if you overuse them, they suck. High frame rates can be cool and are really awesome in certain scenarios, but if you overuse it, it sucks. Whip pans can be really dope. I'm sure Joe uses them a lot in what he does, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But they can be cool, but if they're overused, they suck. Gimbal shots, amazing. Pav just did a video of the 24mm Sigma, the I-series Sigma that they just put out. It made me almost want to buy one. Fortunately enough, I bought some other lenses, so that's out of the question. But amazing gimbal movements. But if you do your entire video on a gimbal, it's overkill and it's not good. Moral of the story, as a cinematographer, don't be a one-trick pony. Find something that tells a story and let that be the focus, and then just make your cool shit, like accent that. Sorry, that's my rant. I'm done. I need water. Okay. All right, let me go back over here. So Pop SZ said, I'm sorry. I'm calling you SZ every time. I mean, that's your channel name, but whatever. Pav says, Gerald, a photography straight cut is the future and the past of storytelling. I'm with Gerald. Yeah. Photography. I'm going to reread this again. It's been a long week. Straight cut is the future and the past of storytelling. Yes. I think if you can cut really well, if I can give one piece of advice and something I'm trying to work on more, is freaking T and L cuts. It's going to make your films look so much better. They're cuts, but having your audio smoothly flow all the shots makes it look so much more effective and simple and doesn't take away from the story. And that's the whole point of like whip pans and all of this stuff. It takes away from what you're doing. It distracts from what you're doing. And that's the point of it. And that's what we were saying, is it distracts from the story. Okay, 10 minutes. That's the max. 9 o'clock. I got to get out of here. I think I'm going to get kicked out here soon. So that being said, let's chat for at least that long. Let's chat it up. Oh boy, another rant. Oh, that's dumb. Constantly moving cameras are, I don't know. I like to keep movement subtle. Coco, keeping movement subtle is key. Sorry, I got to take my jacket off. It's stupid hot in here. Subtle movements, subtle anything. Because again, what just happened? What? Oh no. Which one died first? Okay. I think you guys can still hear me. The FP died. Okay, we're cutting the stream. Yeah. That was weird. OFP. Why? All right. So, all right. If you're still in the stream, you won't see a picture for a couple minutes, but I'm going to answer these and we're going to get out of here. All right. So, Preach Brother Gerald says, Pav says, problem is that people copy Daniel Schiffer, style, and it happens more care about it. Do your own thing. Make video yours. Pav, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I shot that whole video on a gimbal mainly because we were in a tight space and only had 45 minutes to shoot. So it is kind of a waste to set up a tripod. I get that completely. There is times where it's just necessary, honestly. So I don't want to, I try to be careful of like not saying blanket statements all the time. So, yeah. Use still shots a lot. I'm all for locked off shots. Pop says, LOL, you took your jacket off. That's it. We're doomed. Honestly, taking my jacket off apparently got me shut down on YouTube, but really was the FP. So you guys, thank you guys very much for joining. It has been awesome. I didn't think we were going to stream for an hour and a half. Honestly, I would have probably grabbed the Pocket 4K and plugged it into the mains. But this has been awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you guys got something out of this. I'm going to keep this up for a little while. I felt like this wasn't as much of a garbage stream as the past couple ones have been with my audio. So that being said, hopefully no one will get to this last like 5 minutes and not see any picture. Pav, I love you too. Let's talk tomorrow, Pav. Let's maybe Skype tomorrow. Not too long because I got to edit the short film. Jim, good night, man. Everyone, thank you so much. Instagram, thank you so much for joining. If you're still here, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. I love hanging out with you guys. Honestly, this is probably more fun than actually making finished YouTube videos. So that being said, you guys have a great time, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.